All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 305 Takes. Today, me and Miles have a good episode for you guys. We're going to be talking about fantasy football. We're going to be talking both leagues me and Miles are playing in. One we are playing together with E2G, and one me and Miles are competing against each other in a league that I'm running with my friend Pete. So, we're happy to tell you guys what's going to happen in fantasy, how we're feeling, what some strategies we might want to go for, and some guys we know that we might just not be able to get a trade done with. So, Miles, I think we got to probably start with some fantasy strategies that we're going to be going into this year with. What's the strategy you got?
So my this is like my number one rule. Second round, I always go tight end. That's just how I personally go. I personally
Last year you went tight end in the first.
what in the first round? No,
Yeah.
I
Wait,
had
didn't you pick Kelsey in the first round?
no, I picked him in my second pick. I had Chubb in the
Oh,
first round.
okay, dang.
Yeah, because you picked Henry right before me. So I always go tight end second round. I just personally I hate having I think that's the worst position to try to streamline week by week because a lot of it is red zone productivity for teams that don't have a tight end that they're featuring in the passing game. So that's pretty unpredictable as far as that goes. So I always go tight end second round. I just like to set them there and then only have to worry about it the week that that tight end's on a bye. So that's why I like try and true rule is always try to pick a tight end that I'm solid with that I don't have to worry about trying to pick anybody up midseason.
That's a pretty good strategy. I like that. You showed me last year in the league we played in, because man, that once you picked Kelsey, I was like, and then I saw other tight ends were going. I was like, man, a tight end is the drop off from like the top four is so significant. The drop off is insane.
Yeah, and that's pretty much every year. I mean, last year you got a little bit more of a break because there was Kelsey. Kittle came on late after being injured. Waller really started to come on strong late, and you know it just it's just a position that it's not like wide receiver or running back where you can expect someone to get the bulk of the carries or the bulk of the passing target. So I think that comes into play. So it's not really a position that you can streamline because running back you can get a third down back that might be featured more due to an injury or an
Yeah.
absence that week. So you can kind of play it like that. It's just tight end. Tight end. I just personally hate looking at waiver wire. I always have looked through the possible free agents and tight end. It's always like projected 8 points.
And to trade for one has got to be tough.
Yeah, because the value ends up becoming so much harder to acquire one. Because if somebody has one that they're comfortable with, you're going to have to give up even more to get that tight end from them.
Yeah. Dang, so that's actually a good strategy. I don't mind that. All right, so I'm gonna have to look at that in our league. But a strategy I'm gonna go for, honestly, I'm gonna go with the strategy I went last year. I don't care what defense I have. Whoever has like the easiest strength of schedule, I will pick them and keep that defense for the whole year, and then I'll just make trades for like a secondary defense for to see who has the stretch of like them playing like three of the top five worst offenses.
Well, I mean, defense.
Because it's sometimes, bro, it could be like the Cowboys and they'll give you like 20 points.
Well, it just depends because usually I try to look for a team that has a solid defensive line so I could just at least bank on some sacks being racked up. Because
Yeah,
the only thing that's hard with defense is you can still have a great game, like defensive wise, and then garbage time they start racking up yards, and then you end up negative because they hit 400 yards of total offense for the game, but they still played like crap. But garbage time they were running it up, and really, I look for a good defensive line so I can bank on some sacks. And then I try to do opponent schedule. So defense is one more where I'll stream because especially when you go later into the seasons, you start realizing which teams, can't run the ball or can't run block or pass block.
or
So
teams that turn over the ball like crazy.
that helps too. So, you can try to find key matchups that'll be beneficial for that defense for the week. And then, sometimes you think you pick up a great defense because they're playing an offense that hasn't done anything. And next thing you know, they give you
Yeah,
a -5 for the game.
that's why, because I was like, I understand like all the points for like every position is valuable, but then I was like, man, defense sometimes can win you a game because when I've played against guys and they have a defense that has like over 15 points, I'm like, oh man, bro, I needed like some of these guys to like go off even more because I'm always hoping the defense could just like level off each other and then it just you don't have to worry that much about the Nets one. So that's always what I look at it because the defense, I feel like that's always one of the more underwhelming strategies. But that's just how I look at it because I'm like, man, if I can have at least a defense that doesn't give me negative points every week, I can live with that.
Yeah, the worst is just honestly the negative. Because once you hit negative, you're like, oh, I really like. At least give me 0. 0, I can deal with. I can bounce back from that because I don't expect any of my players to give me negative. So 0, I can at least go from there. But negative, you're like, what was I doing this week?
Yeah, you just look at it and just say, why did I do that? But I mean, that's what happens in fantasy football. But I want to talk about some of the guys we're going to be playing in the league with now and some of their fantasy strategies and tendencies are. So there's a couple of names of people both you and me have played against. So the first one, I'll give it to you because you're really close with him compared to me. Tell us about Moises. What's Moises' fantasy strategies or tendencies you see?
So we saw it a little bit of last year when we had the sleeper league. I think it was first off with Moises. Number one thing you need to know is he's going to try to win. No
Yeah,
matter, that's his
he's
number
gonna
one
win.
priority in everything, is to try to become a champion, which I don't blame him. I think that's everybody's priority. But he is definitely trying to come for that number one spot and take the bragging rights. So that's just right off the bat. And then I think with him, he's definitely an active player. He knows what's going on. Is up on all the injuries, anything that might be related. You're not going to be able to rip him off in any trade just because he's sleeping at the wheel.
Bro,
So,
it is hard to get a trade done with him. It is hard.
but he'll offer you some. It's just that sometimes you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's slow the brakes here. I'm not trying to get ripped off here, but
Yeah.
last year I think there was a lot of discussion that we had, but we never actually came to an agreement on a trade. But there was a lot of proposals being sent back and forth to each other.
Same here. I've made a lot of trade offers for DeAndre Swift, and I just couldn't get it done. It was like 3 or 4 weeks. Every time I just kept sending a new offer, I was like, hey, how about this for DeAndre Swift? How about this? How about this? And he was like, no, I want this, this, and this. And I'm trying to maneuver. It's like, what about this guy? What about that guy? What about that guy? So I definitely know Moises is a tough negotiator. He's a tough negotiator.
Yeah, tough negotiator, but at least you know that you're dealing with someone that is up to date and knows what's going on. So he's not selling you a bunch of nothing. So it's that's the trick with fantasy because everybody who's going to want to at least get fair value from the trade that they make, and the possibility of getting ripped off is always there. But you never want to leave the trade and be like, maybe I have some second thoughts on that one.
Yep, that is a big one. So the next person I'm gonna go with, we had him on the pod. It's gonna be your first year playing with him. So here's the scouting report on Alex Taboas. Alex, bro, it is impossible to get a trade done with him. Like I mean, legit impossible. Like I tried to make a trade with him ever since we had the draft last year in one of the leagues I was with him. I couldn't get one trade done with him, not one.
Jeez.
And this is before week 1. I couldn't get one trade done with him. I was close with one. I had Swift, and he was gonna give me I forgot who it was. It was either Kamara or Eckler. But I didn't like that their schedule was coming up because they were facing like a lot of tough rushing defenses. I was like, man, I really don't like this for them. It's gonna be bad. So then I ended up trading Swift, and I got Joe Mixon and CD by trading Swift and Metcalf, which I thought was more of a fair value trade because it's like straight up even.
Yeah, and that's the point, is to try to negotiate so that you guys can both get a good enough value. And one team is more usually you're selling from a a depth standpoint at a position that you have good depth at, and trying to add at a position that you have weakness. So it's the best is to try to find a team that has depth at the position you need and weakness at the position that you have depth at. So that's always the yin and yang of trying to find a trade in fantasy.
Yeah, and with him, what I've seen, what he does in fantasy, he's always up to date. Like up to date. Like if he sees a move, he's gonna try to do it as fast as he can, even if he's at work. What I don't like about Alex sometimes, bro, oh my gosh, is that man, he like when it comes to negotiations just on anything, you have to give up an arm and a leg just to like sniff at one player, but he is going to aim for running backs. Like he is a running back. Um I would say he weighs more on that because I mean he ended the year with I think he had Eckler and Chubb as his running backs, and he had like another good running back too. That would like he was just loaded. First, he was loaded at receiver, and he wanted to dump a couple of them. Then, next thing you know, he gets like a ton of running backs, and he had his record was like 1-7, and he ended the season like one game away from the playoffs. So, like Alex won't quit, even if his record is bad. So I give him a lot of credit on that. He won't quit, but man, I would say out of all of them, that's what I could see is his strategy is.
I mean, running backs, that's how I am too. I'm always trying to go for running backs too because, I mean, it's just such a crapshoot. This is another like key rule that I have for the draft is I usually try to have two running backs that are like solid starters, at least like that. And then if my flex is might split carries, a Tony Pollard type, then okay, I can deal with that. But I usually try to have two starters that I know 100% are going to get the lion's share of the work. So I don't have to worry about somebody creeping in on one of my starters touches for the game.
Yeah, it's definitely big. And now I'm gonna give you more in depth of a couple of guys that I know you haven't played with, so that way you get a better feel of what they do. So the first guy I'm gonna talk about is Edwin. And Edwin, I would say this: Edwin is fun to. He's fun to play fantasy with. Edwin is all for the trades. He's all for making the big move. He sometimes he takes risks that don't help him, but he's a risk taker in fantasy. He knows it's like, all right, if it's a trade and I know this guy's gonna pop off, I'm willing to give up a lot just to get him because I know he could probably do this, and that. So Edwin is definitely fun to trade with. Big tip, he's a Saints fan. He's a big Saints fan. So you might be able to get away with throwing in a Michael Thomas, maybe Chris Olave, Jarvis Landry, or AK if you have them. So if you have a Saints player that's going to be really impactful in the offense, you might be able to get away with it. Throwing it in a trade, you might get a couple of brownie points.
Okay, so he's a big Saints fan. I'll keep that in mind. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to have too many Saints players on my roster this year. With the way things are shaking out, maybe a Michael Thomas later in the draft, get some good value on him. But I'll keep that in mind, Saints fan. Okay.
Yeah, because his name is Olave Garden.
Oh, that's a good one, especially for a rookie to already come up with a fantasy name based off him.
Yeah, it's actually a good one. I was like, man, that's not bad. I mean, I hate the restaurant, but it's not a bad name.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. I've been trying to think of a good one for my team this year. I haven't come up with too many.
I have one if I get Darnell Mooney. It's like Darnell mooned me.
Oh, I've seen that one. I do like that though, but I don't know if I want a Bears player this year. That's the only problem.
Bro, it's so bad.
Off like the players that you have last year because I was just a troll when I traded for Kittle and I already had Cup. I just made my Kittle Cup. Kittle Cup. So that was my troll last year. And then when I made the playoffs as the 1 seed, I just changed it to number 1 seed.
Oh, wow.
I like to change it week by week just to troll whoever I'm playing. That's one of my favorites. If you get a good zinger in on the guy that you're playing for the week, I think that's
that's actually not bad to get in their head a little bit.
Yeah. So now I got some Saints fans. I could be like, who dat nation for a week?
You can be. But there's actually a lot of guys in our league that have a name for Dolphins. So we have Pete. His name is Tua Infinity and Beyond.
Tua sucks. Wait, what? Who said that? Who said that?
Oh no, he watched the first podcast. He has a lot of words to say to you. Him. Let me see. Oh, Dominic running up the hill.
Okay. Dominic running up the hill.
Oh well, that's Dom.
Yep.
Dom, his name is running up the hill. And then we have JP, who I played with last year. This one you actually you'll probably like it. This is more of a shot at Tua than anything. Tua's wet noodle arm.
Phew.
That was a shot.
That's tough right there. That's tough. That's like the best that you can come up with while trying somebody.
I was like, dang, JP, okay. So while we're on that topic of fantasy names and JP, I'm gonna tell you about JP because I know you didn't play with him. Do not try to trade with JP. You're not gonna get a deal done.
Okay. Just not even worth a try.
Bro, I tried. When I tell you I tried, you know some of those fancy offers I told you I made like 3 guys for 1 player and I still got to know?
Yeah.
That's JP.
Okay. Damn. So JP's a tough one. I gotta try to crack that shell.
Bro, I have tried so much.
As long as I feel like maybe the first one that he completes, then he'll maybe start getting the itch for it. So it's just we got to crack that shell to get in there a little bit, and then we'll see how it plays out.
Bro,
it's just for one starting down, unless it's like something unbelievable.
I think last year he only made 2 trades.
Wow.
So I'm telling you, man, like he is tough.
We just got to get at him early.
And I'm like, dang.
And another thing with fantasy and trading is that I feel that like this some ways too, but I also do like to, ask around. But, some guys like the team that they drafted and they want to, go a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's fine.
The roster that they drafted, they want to, because you do kind of get a sense of like, I don't want to be weird about it. Like you do get like a sense of ownership, but like,
yeah,
because
that's your team.
Yeah, and once you draft your team, you kind of know everybody that's on it. So you're looking like once the games actually started and you're watching games, you know who's on your team. So once you're on the red zone and you see the 49ers are in the red zone, you're like,
it's like I got this guy,
the running back, So I do get people on that and the hesitancy to trade based off that perspective, but it's all a give or take because. It's just the NFL is already unpredictable, and now we're trying to win a game based off of what they're doing in their game. So it's just it all really doesn't make sense if you look at it.
It really doesn't. Because last year, bro, I tried to trade. I don't know if it was him that he had Debo. I tried to trade for Debo, couldn't get him. I tried to trade for Leonard Fournette, couldn't get him. This one, I'm actually not surprised he said no. I asked for Najee Harris, told me no. So I was like, okay, yeah, I didn't expect that. I mean, he led the league in touches last year. So to be honest, if you were to trade him, I would just be like, do not play fantasy football again. But he kept him. So I would say JP is tough. Strategies. He makes a move every now and then, but he really sticks with his team. Like he sticks with his gut from the draft. So I do respect that a lot from JP. Because last year he did it, and I think he made the playoffs. Yeah, it was like a 16 playoff. Yeah, 6 teams, and he made it. So I would say more power to him because but that's what I would say. Strategy, he makes a little bit of moves, but he always he trusts his gut on his draft picks. Trust is his gut.
Okay, so you can't hate on that. And I mean, there's just so many things that play into it because where a guy is drafted, where your team is picking. So like you're not really going to want to give up on your first round pick right away, even if he does start slow. So like there's a lot of things that goes into fantasy trading just besides trying to improve your team.
Yeah, and especially if week 1 your first round pick goes down, and you're just like, oh my god, I had to trade for this guy at this day, and I said no because I had this feeling.
Yeah, like when Saquon tore his ACL against the Bears. Yeah, I remember that. When I drafted Saquon twice back-to-back years, or I drafted him second and third, and he gets injured both years. Yeah, I remember that.
David Johnson, drafted him first overall, gets injured week 1 for the rest of the season, and I just cry.
Yeah, those are the breaks sometimes. That's how it goes. But that's also why I don't understand why people don't make trades, because injuries are going to happen. So having depth isn't necessarily the worst thing. And even if you might get a little bit better, an injury happens, now you have 4 running backs. You can make a trade for a tight end. You can make a trade for a wide receiver,
Yeah, sometimes it's okay to go position heavy because, it's like, all right, there's none of these running backs I like or wide receivers or tight end. I'm just going to load up on this one. And I'm going to make a trade with that person who I know who has this player. I call from this, and that. And it's a fair win-win trade.
Yeah, and that's really what you're looking for. And I'm excited for this. I'm excited for both the leagues that we're going to join. I do want to kind of be the unpredictable guy because it's my first year. Oh, so I want to go into next year and still have people be like, wait, how does this guy do this? Like, what's his strategy? I can't really get a read for it.
Oh, okay. All right. So then I'll go to our next player in our league, one that we played with last year. He was really active in the league we were in together last year, Ryan.
Okay.
So Ryan was pretty active.
Yeah.
He Oh no, go ahead.
No, no, I was saying he was definitely active. He was sending me some stuff. We know the same thing with Moises. We had some offers going back and forth, but I just didn't get to work one out. I don't think
Yeah.
I completed a trade last year, if I'm being honest. Last
I I,
last year's
I didn't
league,
either. I was all waiver wire.
yeah, last year's league was difficult.
I mean, no, there are a lot of complications in that, but we will discuss that a different day, different time. But to give everyone's Ryan's scouting report, Ryan Ryan will definitely trust his gut. Is he a tough negotiator? I wouldn't say so because if you want to get a trade done with Ryan, Ryan is all ears. It's just there are some untouchables with him. Ryan is definitely willing to make a trade if it helps both sides, but no, if there's certain guys that are untouchable, he will not give them away. So, like, unless you offer an untouchable for an untouchable, I do think he will accept that. I do think he will.
Yeah, I could see that. It's just, I mean, like I said, it's just really hard to trade in fantasy. Like that's what it comes down to. I'm glad that we're getting a scouting report because we are entering into our own league aside from the E2G one. So, and we're going to be talking about it a lot as we go through the NFL season. So it gives people that are listening and everything a chance to get familiar with the players that we're going to be going head to head against, and even me and you are going to be going head to head against each other whenever the time comes in the schedule.
Week
So.
one.
Oh, but is it already scheduled or does it
Yeah,
randomize when?
it's already scheduled. I went on the app and I saw week one, Miles Thomas, Angel and Myles. I was like, oh my gosh.
The only thing for my our ESPN one is that it randomizes literally all the time. Like all the
Yeah.
time you'll log in and it'll say a different one. And then when the draft hits, then that's when we'll get our actual.
Okay, so then we'll officially see.
Yeah,
All
so I
right,
just
so
hope
then,
it randomizes again because sometimes I believe I could be wrong. I believe that for ESPN it matches you up week one with who was closest in you signing up. So I don't know if
okay.
it's off that, and then once you draft, that's when it randomizes the schedule. But I think it'll be very interesting, and I think this is a good way to get everybody involved, and so they're not just hearing random names when we talk about it during the season.
Yeah. And for anyone, to me, if you want to get a deal done with Ryan, I would say try to do it like 2 days in advance. So that way you can at least, negotiate, players you know he's interested in, players you're interested in, and maybe you want to get another trade done before you make a trade with Ryan.
Because
So
you're
that
going to
way,
need, regardless, you're going to need to negotiate. You're going
yeah,
to need.
you're gonna need to negotiate. I would say Ryan, you're gonna definitely need at least 2 days. Ed, I will be like, I love Ed. You honestly need like one afternoon. That's what I will say. You need like one
Sit
afternoon
down and hammer it out with him, or otherwise you got no
because Ed
chance.
is quick with the responses. Like if you give him an offer, and you tell him, hey, like, hey, this, and that. He'll be like, well, I'm thinking of this, and this, and then you could kind of work off each other.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense. And it's also those are the type of guys that I like to deal with. Where if you can do it in one day, where we're just boom, 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 bouncing stuff off each other,
yeah,
we're texting on the side or whatever, have messages under the trades, then that works for me because then at least I know what you're looking for. And if it can't work out that day, then okay, maybe we meet back later in the season. And
yeah,
I also like that, okay, I know what this guy is looking for. He's obviously comfortable trading boom, boom, and boom. I may not be comfortable with the one guy he wants to get back. Maybe I can offer three for his two, whatever the case may be. At least we're having active negotiations.
yeah. So I would say that is the difference between Ed and Ryan. Ed is definitely like boom, boom, boom to going back and forth. Ryan, it's going to take a little bit of time because he does think about it. Because I was like, all right, and I'm pretty sure he also looks at the schedules too. I'm pretty sure he looks at all the stuff. So I'm like, all right, he's definitely gonna do that. So it's nothing bad. And now I'm gonna go to the next guy that we're gonna be talking about. One that you and me have not played with.
Okay, so
Dominic Diaz.
we've had him on the pod, no?
Had him on the pod. We
Yeah,
had him for the betting
yeah,
where Dom has
yeah.
talked
He's
about some of
giving me
his
crazy
winnings.
stories. Yeah, he told us some crazy, crazy stories. That
And
was a
he's
good
the one who got me into sports betting. He's the one.
Oh, so he turned you to the dark side?
Yeah, he created the monster.
Before we get into Dominic's scouting profile in our fantasy football league, I just want to give a quick shout out to E2G Sports. They've been sponsoring us with everything we're doing over here at the podcast. Been loving it since we joined the team over there with E2G Sports. We're going to get to the league that we're joining with the other podcast members and media members that we have over at our great team at E2G Sports. We're excited to continue the journey and can't wait to join the rest of the team and discuss this NFL season because it's really shaken out to be a fun one. And unfortunately, I have to deal with that absolute hellscape of a league that we're going into. But now back to
Well,
your regularly scheduled program.
yeah, we'll talk about that league in due time, in due time, in due time. But let's get back to the league and let's talk about Dom. So I have not played fantasy with Dom. I know you met him that week of the Super Bowl when it came to betting, so we don't know what Dom has. So, but I will say this: knowing Dom's record in sports betting, I'm gonna say he's a risk taker. I think Dom is willing to make that risk for one guy in a trade. I really think he is.
I mean, hopefully you have a one guy that he wants. That would help. I mean, we already set it up with, his sports wagering lifestyle. So I'm sure he's not scared to take a bet in a fantasy league either. And even
Yeah,
if he thinks maybe it's not the best value, he wants to get the guy he wants to get. And I respect the hustle.
yeah. Dom will respond to any offers, but he'll also, if you give him a really like bad offer, Dom is just simply not gonna talk to you. He's not gonna talk to you. He's gonna be like, no, get out. Like, don't even talk to me. Unless you have a real offer, do not talk to me. And I'm just saying it because Dom really watches football. Like Dom watches football. Like I remember one day at the gym, he was saying this, like someone was talking and then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go home, watch the Dolphins lose and watch more football. And I was like, all right, cool. He already knows what's coming. Like he's watched way too much. But he is a big fan of quarterbacks of Rodgers, Mahomes, like all the guys who we've said are like, bro, the talent's just unbelievable. He's big fans of those. So maybe you could probably get away with it in a trade. It's like you offer Mahomes and someone else, and maybe you could get, who knows, if he has Kittle or Kelsey, maybe you could get away with that. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure. But I also don't know what his draft strategy is. I don't know if he's going to go after running backs or wide receiver heavy, because I know if he's down on one position, he's definitely going to go for it in trade. He's going to go for it.
That's good. Honestly, having an active member, and especially regardless of injury or not, if there's a player that I have that I know somebody wants, there might be 3-4 games later in the schedule where don't necessarily think he's going to be productive for me, and I might write it out to that point. And okay, we make a 3-for-1, whatever. I give up somebody really talented, but now I get three role guys that I think can maybe equal or maybe outperform that person in that stretch of the schedule that I didn't necessarily feel confident about.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's definitely something to see. I got to see how Dom plays because, I mean, I've known Dom for a while, but I'm like, man, he's the wild card in all of this because at least you and me, we know some people. So it's like, all right, we kind of know how they like to play. I know how you like to play a little bit. You know how I like to play a little bit. I mean, we set our strategies back and forth. I've even asked you, it's like, yo, should I send this trade of this, and that?
Yeah.
So you kind of know how I like to deal with. So it's definitely up there.
And I think
But
that's important as well because you kind of need to bounce it off because obviously you're gonna think the trade I'm sending is perfect, and I don't understand why anybody would accept it. So it's good to bounce it off people because you need that reality check sometimes to be like, you're tripping. I don't know why anybody would accept this.
yeah, and that's how I mean that I've known Dom for a couple bit, so I feel like that's how he would respond based off of the conversations I've had with him and everything. But now I'm gonna go off to someone who is a close friend to the show. Actually helped the show make the logo, well, our new logo for the show, Peter Romeo. And I will say this about Pete. do not tell him your strategy or give a hint of what your strategy is, because he's one of those people that will go in there and ruin it.
What do you mean by that?
All right, so let's just say I played fantasy basketball with him. It was my first time playing fantasy basketball, and we're having the draft that night. I told him, like, on the side, I was like, yeah, I probably might get Devin Booker. I feel like he's gonna have an MVP year. This is the shortened season of the NBA, so I was like, all right, I really like
right after the bubble.
Right after the bubble. I loved how Devin Booker showcased at the end of the bubble, like when Phoenix won the eight games, and I was like, he's gonna have Chris Paul now. He's gonna have a real point guard that's gonna give him the basketball a lot. I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go get Devin Booker. He comes up and drafts him right before I do, and I was like, are you kidding me, bro?
Can't give away the secrets, bro. It's war games out here. There's no friends in war.
No friends at war. And then when we did the sleeper league last year, I told him, yeah, I might go after like CEH and Aaron Jones. He gets both of them. And I'm like, oh my God. And then he gets Tyler Lockett, knowing that I want Tyler Lockett so bad.
So he just had you held for hostage, basically.
He like, had me
everything you're going to do is going to be based off what I'm going to do because I know who you want. So I'm just going to hold you hostage here.
And I'm just like, Peter, I want to get you. It's like, I'm going to crush you, bro.
I'm about to turn off my computer. I'm about to auto draft. Then try to outgame play me.
Oh my gosh. That's how it would feel like. And I'm like, oh my God, Peter, never telling my strategies too. But I will say this. There might be one or two untouchables on his team, but the rest of the guys, he's willing to deal with them if he knows it's fair, or he's going to flat out win the trade. He is willing to deal almost anyone except for like maybe one or two guys.
I usually never have an untouchable unless it's my tight end, unless it's the last 2 years when I had Kelsey.
Oh, yeah, no. If he sees like...
That's just position for me, like my position value for that. But, I mean, I even had in my other league, not the one we did, I had Josh Allen. I was trying to trade him, honestly. One of our boys had Wilson when he went out and was just streaming quarterbacks. He's going from one to Heineke, and I was like, bro, let me just help you out. Let me give you Josh Allen, but let me get – I think he had Tyreek Hill and Lockett. I was like, let me get both of those guys for Josh Allen.
And he's like, no.
Yeah.
It's like, you need a quarterback, bro.
Like, bro, you really want to start once? Like, you really want to start once. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to put your time into, is having Carson Wentz as your starting quarterback in fantasy.
So, I mean, that's how it would be. But I know he'll listen if it's like, if he has Kelsey and I offer a Waller, he'll listen.
Okay.
But if I'm not offering like a Waller, a Mark Andrews, or a Kittle, he's not going to listen to any tight end that I have that will be for Kelsey. He will not listen.
Damn. So that's an interesting player. It's like a little bit of a wild card. You got to kind of – he's like one of those guys that you kind of have to like feel out first, try to see who he thinks is untouchable before you really send in a proposal.
I will say this. Some of his good friends are in this league, and I know he does this, and he won't admit it, but he will peer pressure them into a trade. I know he will.
So that's the group leader. That's the group leader.
I don't know, but I would say this: Peter, do not tell him any strategy you have. If you tell him one player you are remotely interested, no, he will try to take him and say, "Hey, do you want him?"
He's not here for friends. He's here to win. He's here to win. He's not taking any prisoners, and I respect that. Listen, I'm glad I'm getting the scouting reports before I become a victim of it myself. So you might have just saved me right there.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, he is kind of a little upset that I beat him in the Sleeper League Championship. He is kind of mad that I beat him.
Hey, look, say it one more time. What'd you do last year? Say it one more time. Just throw some salt in that one.
Yeah, I kind of crushed him. It was pretty bad. I think I won by like over 100 points. I mean, bro, like the Cowboys defense went off against that week against the Eagles. Like that was when they had like the practice squad on the field that night. Cup, Eckler, Chubb, Allen. And this is when Allen was on that tear.
You're going to give this boy nightmares again. He's just finally getting
over no, I said that once, and he was just like, don't remind me. And I was like, all right. But I did try to trade with him a couple of times.
And then you guys ended up meeting in the championship game.
Yep, ended up meeting. I won. And then I was like, oh, man, now I know Peter's definitely coming after me. So I know he's – but I love Peter to death. And now the final scouting report of he's – from what I'm told, he's going to join the league. But this one, Miles, I'm definitely being honest here, this is a very, very good fantasy player.
Okay.
He's very good. His name is Nick. Nick is really good. When I mean really good, he drafts very well. Like when you look at his team after every time he drafts, you're like, man, he did a great job drafting. I think he got Cooper Kupp in like the 5th round.
Jeez. I think I did too. Or I might have drafted him a little bit earlier, but that last year's Cooper Kupp value was insane.
Insane. And he
That's
got
why
him.
Kupp for me.
I even tried to trade for Kupp before the season started, and he's like, can't do it, man. I feel like Kupp is going to ball out with Stafford. I was just like, God, why does Nick have to have the same mind? So, I would say this, he's the sneaky one. He is, just when you feel like you're in the talks to trade for one player, Nick is right there behind you.
Okay.
He's right there talking to get that player.
He's moving in the wins.
Even if he doesn't need that player, he will aim for it. And
he's just which way the wind blows. Yeah.
Yep. And whenever he makes a trade, I don't know how he does it, but 90% of the time he wins the trade by like a mile, and it's not even close.
Damn. So we got a serious fantasy player on our hands.
Like, I don't know how Nick does it, but he's just so good. Like, he is very, very good. Nick is really good. So I would say definitely watch out for Nick. And just when you feel like you might be interested in a player, just note, Nick is somewhere behind. He might be making an offer.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. Maybe it might be best to try to make a move with Nick early. So he thinks, okay.
Yeah, try to make a move with him. He did try to make a move with me because I picked up Daniel Jones because I was like, all right, I need a mobile quarterback for a bye week. So I got him. And then he offered me Kadarius Toney for him. But no, Kadarius Toney didn't pop off. And then the next game he played
Dallas. One good game. He had one.
And it was that Dallas game, and he popped off.
Yep, he snapped.
And then I texted Nick. I was like, so, Kadarius Toney, are we good for that trade now? He's like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I was like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, he snapped that game. I think he had like 20 points.
Yeah, so I was
200 total yards in the game.
So I was like, dang, I don't blame Nick for doing that because I was like, Daniel Jones just got hurt. Kadarius Toney went off. So I was like, yeah, Nick is not wrong. So I was the fool in that trade. I was the fool.
What is your strategy with rookies?
With rookies? Oh, man. I have to see what team they're on, and I have to know if they're starting.
Okay.
Because with rookies, it's so hard to pan out because obviously every year there's a rookie that just pops off.
Yeah.
There's always that rookie that just pops off. But you never know who it is. Last year,
St. Brown popped off, but it took him until like the last 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah. He went crazy.
Chase was obviously the
best probably from like the start, but I'm thinking of like one that just sneaks up.
He was just so uneven with the touchdowns, but I did have I had Toney on my bench last year. I usually like some of the really explosive guys that I saw in college that I think are going to be that their skills that can translate, especially for fantasy, and guys that are drafted highly that I feel like the offense will try to implement creative ways just to get them the ball. I usually just try to stash them at the end of the draft, keep them, last couple roster spots. So I did have Toney just chilling on my bench for majority of the year until he finally got injured, and then dropped him. I picked up St. Brown at the end. So I usually try to draft my last 2 roster spots. I usually try to either go for this is going to sound pathetic, but I usually try to go for one of the Dolphins random running backs. So the last few years
because they might start.
Yeah, it was Jordan Howard, Malcolm Brown to start the season as one of my last roster spots, and then and then usually have that as the last one of the rookies as one of the last roster spots. I don't know who it's going to be this year. I got to do some more research. We mentioned likely last week, and then he goes absolutely ballistic in the preseason game. He had over 100 yards receiving in the first half on 8 receptions on 8 targets. The guy absolutely went crazy, and we had just mentioned him on the podcast.
Wait, who was it? I'm trying to think. Who was it?
Isaiah Likely from
he
went
Ravens.
Crazy. He went absolutely crazy in their last fantasy game. And I saw something that the Ravens are like 27-10 since Harbaugh has been their coach in preseason.
Yeah, in the preseason,
they're 31-3 against the spread.
Yeah.
I still need the Jets to hit. I didn't realize that Rams game was Friday, the day we recorded, and that the Jets game's not all the way today. So I had the Rams won the game outright, and so I'm chilling with them. They already covered. I got Jets today plus 8.5. So I guess I'm watching some Monday Night Football, even though I'm probably not going to. I'll probably just have the alerts be sent to my phone from ESPN.
Yeah,
but
if anything, you watch like 2 minutes and then you leave.
we're halfway there on the first ever official wager given out on 305 Takes. And
who knows? This could have been a hit for any of you guys.
Right, we're halfway home, baby. Let's knock on some wood right there. But we're halfway home. We'll probably give out another one Friday. I would have given out one today, but it's a soccer one, and it just actually kicked off. English Premier League. We got a little over going on in that one. Just kicked off at 3:00. So I didn't want to give it out midway through the segment, and people aren't going to be, they might hear this late and be upset that we gave it out. But, hey, we try to give out winners over here.
Yep. But now I think this is perfect time to transition because guys, they kind of know our fantasy strategy if they listen to the pod, and we gave out the scouting report on everyone in the league: Nick, Peter, Ryan, Ed, Alex, Moises, Dom. We gave it all out. So if you guys are listening, just note we try to help you. If you didn't listen, that's your fault at the end of the day.
Yeah, we're giving out free game over here.
Yep. But now let's transition and talk real quick about the E2G Fantasy League. And oh man, I'm glad we're doing this together because, bro, this is scary.
Yeah. This is it's honestly intimidating, to be honest. Like, to be completely honest, I'm intimidated by this league. And because it's our sponsor, they've been helping us out with the podcast, and it's like I don't want to make a fool out of myself, and I also just don't want to be overwhelmed because that's all. I literally get anxiety when I start thinking about it.
Oh, okay. So for anyone that doesn't know, I'm gonna read the starting lineup: a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, a kicker, a defensive tackle, another defensive tackle, 2 defensive ends, 3 linebackers, 2 corners, 2 safeties. And now I'm going to go to the bench. The bench has 10 slots. And injury reserve, you have 3 spots. Imagine the roster size.
I'm basically the general manager of an NFL team at this point.
You are.
Full defense. I got injured reserve to replace the guys that it's
Myles, I hate to say
I'm so glad that we're co-running this because by myself, there's absolutely no way.
I would cry, bro. I'll be like, okay, I lost $60. I'll take it. Like, I can't do this, guys.
I'd be one of those guys that just gives up after 3-4 weeks.
Oh, and man, just imagine that. Like, over 30 roster spots, and then the drafting.
Draft day is going to be insane. It's going to take 17 hours.
Oh my god! And it says the draft starts at Wednesday, September 7th, 8:15 p.m. Yeah, that's not getting done until like midnight.
Yeah, easy. I wouldn't be surprised if we go well past midnight. That's going to take forever.
Oh man! And then we have to show out because we're talking fantasy.
And we're the new guys. We're the new guys.
We have to show out. So it's like, man, now we have to do this. But also the payout's not that bad. I mean, $60 and there's 16 teams. So, I mean, doing the math real quick. $60, 16 teams. Almost 1,000. 960.
You said it's 30 roster spots?
Like a little over 30. Because the 22, 11 on offense, 11 on defense.
And there's 16 teams. That means 350 players are going to have to be drafted. 352 to be exact.
Well, the week we have a lot of bye weeks, I'll be like, Myles, let's just take the L. Let's take it. Like, I don't care what it is. We'll take that one L.
Draft the entire Miami Dolphins?
Oh, my gosh.
That would be a good troll. 305 takes the Miami
We
show.
just draft the Dolphins.
Or just straight Florida teams. Like, just straight Florida.
Jags, Bucks.
Jags, Bucks, Dolphins. Like, that's the only group.
That'd be cool. Because then if we can't find anyone, we draft a player who played for one of the 3 teams.
Or went to college.
Went to college.
Yeah. I could be down for that. Our team, damn.
I was gonna say we could be like to play off the Island Boys. We could be the Florida Boys.
Oh gosh.
And just
No.
straight, you have to have some type of tie to Florida for you to be.
You have to have a tie. Oh, so we could. Pat Surtain went to played high school in Florida.
American Heritage High School, yes sir.
Yeah. Okay, so he's got that. Kadarius Toney played for UF.
Jerry Judy,
Jared
Lamar. We could.
Tyreek Hill lives down here.
He plays for the Dolphins. That counts.
Plays for the Dolphins. And so let me think. Who else?
You could go Tony again. He went to UF. Pitts went to UF.
UF. Mike Evans. Chris Godwin.
Oh, okay, because of the Bucks. Okay, yeah. I mean Brady. Yeah, I mean we could take a shot on Trevor Lawrence if you're feeling crazy.
Travis
Etienne. I mean, I would love to
DJ
have
Chark.
I would love. Oh no, he's in Detroit now.
But
I would love to
play
have
for the Jags.
I would love to have Agba or even Jalen Phillips.
Jalen Phillips is nice.
I would love to have either one. X-Man would be great at corner, especially for getting points at for interceptions. X-Man would
the points. That would actually be okay. Let's take a look at the scoring. Well, we know how offense works. Okay, this is actually new. Okay, so receiving. I'm gonna read the receiving for. So this is actually good. Okay, receiving yards 0.1 for every yard. That's fine. Okay. Each reception 1 point.
Okay.
A touchdown 6. A 50-yard touchdown, an additional 3 points.
Okay, I like that.
2-point conversion, they get the 2.
I like adding incentives for explosive plays.
If they have 100 yards or over, from 100 yards to 199 yards, that's an extra 2 points.
Okay.
If they have a 200 receiving yard game, you get an extra 4.
Sheesh.
The field goals, it's almost the exact same things. The only thing is if you make them a 60-yard field goal, credit to anyone who makes that, you get 6 points. If you miss a PAT, it's -2.
We're going to have to scoop up Jason Sanders, that boy.
Yeah. And then if you miss field goal itself, -1.
Damn, a lot of pressure on the kickers. You got to come right with your kicker. That might be a valuable selection this year.
Yeah. And then, okay, so I'm going to read the defensive players. An interception is worth 3 points. A fumble recovery, 2 points. Forced fumble, 2 points. A safety, 2 points. An assisted tackle, 0.5. A solo tackle, 1 point. And a pass defended, 2 points.
Okay. Pass defended like a deflection, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm all about the X-Men. I'm all about it.
I am too, and also J.C. Jackson.
But that's no Florida. Is there a Florida tie?
Oh no! Dang! Oh man! Because I don't want to get Byron Jones. Byron Jones does not catch the football.
Yeah, but we can go.
Sean Murphy-Bunting.
We go Sean Murphy. I was thinking Winfield.
Okay, Winfield. Oh well, safety at safety.
Yeah, that's the only problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want Byron either. And the Jags don't have anybody that I'd want. Bucks don't really. That's tough. But we could look for a cop. I mean, Jalen Ramsey went to FSU.
Jalen Ramsey, FSU. Okay, so we got it. But wait, he has to get the ball thrown to him a lot because bro, he barely gets the ball thrown.
Okay. So let's think. Who
has a ton of interceptions?
Is Joe Hayden still on the?
He's still in the bro. Yeah, no, I think he's still in the Steelers. I mean, do we think of Minka? Because he did play for the Dolphins.
But that's still safety.
Well, there's 2 safeties.
Okay, so that could work.
Minka,
I'd move out Holland. I love Holland.
Holland is nice.
He's my favorite player on the Dolphins.
I like him a lot. He's nice. He's nice. Dang, I'm thinking of.
Well, I mean, we got Surtain in the back pocket if we wanted to.
Oh yeah, Surtain. Okay, so
we got Surtain in the back pocket. I was just trying
to.
And
then if it's X, Pat Surtain and X, that's a really good combo for anyone.
I'm super about the Florida idea. I'm too down for that. That'd be a great way to introduce.
Watch us just get demolished.
Nah, there's no way. There's no way, man. Come on, let's not.
And then quarterback. Oh man, bro, quarterback. We got to hit on quarterback.
Well, if we're doing the Florida thing, I think Lamar's really our only other option. Well,
Lamar's
unless
or,
we get Brady or Tua or
Trevor
Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Yeah. But I can't. I'm trying to rack my brain for anybody else. I mean, there's Kyle Trask, but he's not going to play. And
And then running back. Oh
so-
man, running back is gonna be tough because
yeah,
running backs come and go. They come and
running
go.
back is going to be tough, and I don't want. And I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to having Chase Edmonds, but I kind of want to see how that goes with the running back committee in Miami. And then, I mean, ETN, I guess I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that.
There's always one rookie running back that goes off.
Playoff Lenny, I guess we could give him a consideration.
I mean, that's if he's not overweight.
Who else? Any Florida connections? Oh, Cam Akers, FSU.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Oh, Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook. There you go. If Frank Gore was still
James
in the league.
Cook.
James Cook, yeah, that's a good one. That's definitely a good one.
I actually like James Cook this year. I think he might start a couple of games, but like near the end of the season.
Yeah, and we'd been talking about it all last year with their running game. They're just waiting for somebody to become that alpha dog in their running game. So I wouldn't be mad at that. Let's plan that out. Let's come up with like a big board of like 3 or 4 deep at every position if we can.
We're gonna have to that Google Doc we have for the show.
Let's do it for the next podcast, and we'll go 2 or 3 deep at each position, all Florida connections.
All right, cool. So we'll do that. We'll definitely do that for the show on Friday. We're going to make a big board that day. So you guys are going to get a live look at our draft.
Our draft big board for E2G Sports League. Wow, we broadcasted on E2G, even though that might be giving away some of the game. Hey, we're here to make it fun, man. We want to have an interactive. So if you guys have any suggestions on because we were just doing off the top of the brain. That was the idea that we just came up with.
If you want to make a trade with us, you have to – the player has to have a Florida connection.
Exactly. Only Florida connections the entire season. And
if his wife is from Florida, we'll take it. But if not, no.
And if any of the listeners out there have any suggestions, because we were just doing that off the top of the dome right there. If you have any suggestions or people that we didn't mention that have Florida ties, let us know. Comments, hit us up on
Asante Samuel Jr.
Yeah. Well, he went to Florida State. Yeah.
Yeah.
And St. Thomas. If back in the day, we could have
Marquise Brown.
Hollywood Brown. Yep. That's a good one. Yeah, we could have
Amari Cooper. He's from Florida.
Yeah, he went to Northwestern. Yeah, we could have a solid ass squad.
Yeah, I mean, we could have a good squad, but the only thing is just, are their situations productive enough? That's going to be the thing.
Well, we also have the professional teams too, though.
Yeah,
we do have the Bucks, the Jags, and the Dolphins. I feel like out of those 3 teams and the Florida connection, there's no way
we could get some players.
Yeah, there's no way that we should have a shortage really at any position. So I think we're in a good spot. I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah. So we'll do that. Guys, we can't wait for Friday's show. We're going to do our big board. And note, for anyone that's listening, me and Myles are going to be going to a Dolphins practice. We're going to be going to the one on Thursday. So if any of you guys are there, please hit us up. We'll be out there. Dolphins, Eagles scrimmage practice. Hopefully we see, pretty sure Tyreek Hill maybe burning Darius Slay, James Bradbury, whoever it is on first team offense. Or maybe Jalen Waddle just goes crazy.
Well, burning them and then Tua throwing it 10 yards behind them, right?
Oh. And if you guys want to talk to Myles about Tua, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm all there for it. No, I won't be able to record it on video, but I would definitely be able to get the voice memo. And then I'll play for everyone.
I'm just asking. I didn't know if that was included in our practice or not.
But
we'll see what happens. Fins up, baby.
Well, guys, this was a lot of fun. We can't wait until Friday's show, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.